Hello everyone, welcome to week 3 of materials. Last week we looked at materials that were waterproof and materials that absorbed things. And this week we're looking at materials that we're using to make certain objects. Some materials won't work at all and some are perfect for making certain objects. So we are going to look at those and we're going to make dances about those today. So the first thing we need to do is warm up. So let's come into the space with me. Here we go. And we are going to start with the honey pot because everyone's brilliant at this one. So pick up your honey pot off the floor, and our honey pot is full of honey, and we are going to start straight away by tipping the whole thing over our backs. Yes, here we go. Ooh, tip that all the way down your back and put it down. Here we go. So our whole back from our shoulders right down to our hips is covered in sticky lovely honey. And I want you to look around your room and I want you to see if you can stick your back to something that is soft. It can be anything, but it has to be soft. So looking around, I've got some cushions here. So I'm going to stick my back to my cushions. Very nice. Good. Unstick from something soft. And can you stick your back to something that is grey? What's grey in your room? Anything? I've actually got a sort of silvery grey door handle here, so I'm going to stick my back, it's a bit lower down, to that. Good, have you found something? Good, well done. The next one, can you stick your back to a wall? Any wall. Now I quite like this wall in my house because it's a slanty wall, and I really like that one because it means that my arms can hang free, but it's like I'm stuck, a bit stuck to the roof. Good, unpeel and pick up your honey pot again. This time I want you to dip your toes, not your feet, just your toes, which is quite hard really, isn't it, into your honey. There we go, just your toes. And I want you to stick your toe to your other toes. There we go, so try not to touch your feet, just your toes. And if you're with someone else, that's lovely. You can stick your toes to their toes as well. That's really nice. I'm imagining someone's here, but if not, you're on your own like me, you can stick your toes to each other, which is great. Now this is a tricky one. Can you stick your toes to something that's quite high up? I'm going to try and touch my toes to this light switch here. Here I go. Oh, here we go. Make sure you're balancing. Make sure you're holding on to something. You don't have to go that high, but something that's a little bit higher than we normally would probably stretch our legs that high. Okay, unstick your toe. Good. And the last one for your toes, can you stick it to something cold? Ooh, what's cold in your room? I'm going to stick it to this radiator. The radiator's made of metal, so it can get very warm or very cold when there's no hot water going through it. So that's my cold thing. Okay, get your honey pots. Here we go. Right, dip in your hands, one hand actually, and you're going to wipe this thick honey all over your cheeks. Oh, delicious. Can you have a lick? Lovely. Okay, so we've got really sticky cheeks now. Can you stick your cheek very gently to the floor? Can you stick your cheek to the floor? There we go. Good. Can you unpeel it? Ooh, lovely. Can you stick your hands to your cheeks? Great. Very sticky. Now we've got sticky hands and sticky cheeks. Good. The more the merrier. Excellent. Now stick your sticky cheeks to something red. Have a look around. Aha. I have a red cushion, so I'm going to stick my cheek to the red cushion. That's nice and soft actually as well. Good, right, put the honey pots away for now. Okay, and we are going to do the numbers game where I call out a number, and for each number we do a little action to it. So, we're standing in parallel, where our feet are slightly apart, and we're going to roll down our heads, which are the heaviest parts of our body, all the way down to warm up our spines, which is the bones running all the way down our back. Okay, for 8 counts. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Bend your knees. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And your head is the last thing to come up. Imagine that you're being pulled up and you're being pulled down. Will grow really tall. So that's number 1. If I say number 2, you're going to reach your arms up and we're going to do a swing. So we're going to bring arms round and down, bend the knees, bring arms round and up. We go round and down and round and up. Good. So we do that twice. So that's number 2. Number 1, the roll down. Number 2, the swings. Great. Number 3, we reach high as we can. Stretch your arm up. We reach to the other side. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, really low, 8 to the floor. So we have 8 reaches all the way to the sides, and that's number 3. And our last one is fidget. I bet you're really good at this. We're going to fidget. We can't keep still. We have ants in our palms, and we are going to move for 8 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, good. So let's start with number 1. Feet in parallel. Okay, we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Number 2. Round and down and round and up and round and down and round and up. Reach. Number 3. Reach high, reach side, reach lowish, very low, very low. Good. Number 4, twitch and fidget, and you can't keep still, so you keep on moving for 8 counts. Good. And because you're very good at this, I'm going to mix the numbers up now. So, thinking caps on, listening ears on, here we go. We're going to start with number 2. We go round, down, and round, and up, and around, and down, and round, and up. Good. Straight into number 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Good. Number 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Straight into number 3. Reach, 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 reach. And number 4, because you're so good at it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Fantastic. Well done. Good. Take a breather. Well done. Give your arms a little shake. Give your legs a little shake. Good. Well done. So we are going to do a little phrase that we've done over the last few weeks. We're going to change it slightly. You are going to bend down and pick up your wet sponges. Do you remember that in your buckets full of water, which is wet? So you're going to pick up your sponges, and they're really big. I'm going to squeeze the water out. Ready for 8 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4, squeeze, 6, squeeze, 8. Good, so we squeeze that out. We're going to shrug our shoulders as if we're wearing our raincoat again. The rain's fallen down and the rain's slipping off our coat because it's waterproof. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Good. We are now a sponge shape. We're going to suck in the water and then we get squeezed and the water's going to shoot out. So we go, good. We suck in the water. We get squeezed and the water's going to shoot out. Very nice. And the last one, we are made of plasticine. Do you remember that lovely material that you can bend and push and stretch in any shape? And it doesn't go back to its original shape. It stays wherever we put it. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you can do any shapes you like. You can copy me, or you can do your own plasticine shapes where we get dented, we get stretched, we get pulled, but we stay where we are. We're quite a solid material, aren't we? So from the beginning, 8 sponge squeezes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 shoulder shrugs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. We are a sponge that we absorb the water, we get squeezed and we shoot it out. We absorb the water, we get squeezed and we shoot it out. Good, and then we get moved around as plasticine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, let's try that with music. If you need to go back over those movements, just rewind me back. You can have a little practice and then we can play with the music. Or if you're ready to go on, let's go. Okay. Sponges. Standing in parallel, here we go. And done. How did you do? I bet that was brilliant. I wish I could see that. Fantastic. So, moving on, we're going to look at some different materials today. And we're going to be looking at materials that we use to make different things with. So, the first thing we're looking at is cotton. Now, this is quite a good example because that's exactly what my t-shirt's made of, which is useful. And I love this t-shirt because it's really soft. It keeps me warm. But at the same time, it lets air in and out because it's got very, you can't even see them, but very tiny, tiny holes. And so it lets air out if I get too hot, which I am now after all that dancing and warming up. But also it keeps some heat in to keep me warm as well. It's also very flexible, so it's very twisty. So as I move, can you see the material moves as well? So that's why t-shirts, clothes, all kinds of things I'm sure you're wearing. Have a look at what you're wearing right now. You're wearing a t-shirt that's made of cotton. You think it's very soft, and cotton actually grows on a plant and it's harvested and then it's turned into clothes and a material called cotton that we actually wear. So it's brilliant, we love cotton. Next thing I want to talk about is wood, and we looked at wood a few weeks ago, how it's used for different things like pencils we looked at, and one thing I want to show you today is it's often used for making furniture. So this is a little chair, and wood's brilliant because it can be carved and cut into different shapes very easily, but it's very strong, so that's really good. And it can be painted lots of different colours as well. So this is a little chair, obviously used to sit on, very useful. Okay, so that's wood, and that grows naturally too. So we have to be a bit careful about using too much wood, because wood is obviously comes from trees. We don't want to cut down too many trees, so we have to keep an eye on that. And I think if we chop down trees, we have to plant them as well, make sure that we're looking after our planet. And the last one is our good old sponge, which is here. And we know about this, we've talked about this for the last few weeks. Sponges have lots of holes. You put it in water, they're used for cleaning. It absorbs water, it absorbs things like washing up liquid. We can put that on, and then it keeps our plates, it keeps our cars, whatever we want to wash it, nice and clean. So sponges are very useful. So I was thinking, imagine what it would be like if we used the wrong material for the wrong object. So instead of a t-shirt being made out of cotton, what would happen if I used something like tin foil? A tin foil, what material is this? Do you know? That's right, it's metal. So it's very thin metal, and it's very useful, it's very bendy. It covers things, Metal's really interesting because it can keep heat in, but it can also keep things cool as well. So you might use that for cooking or keeping things in your fridge. But I was thinking, imagine if we made a t-shirt out of this. Now if I tried wearing this as clothes, look, I've got two here. I mean, look, it just doesn't work, does it? It keeps coming off. Although it looks quite cool, I look like Wonder Woman or something. That's not the point, is it? It's just not, it's not that comfortable. It's a bit scratchy. And also, look, it can tear really easily. And it's a bit crinkly and it comes off, so that's no good. So we just can't have tin foil for our clothes, so that's no good. So I thought, what about if we used paper instead of wood to make chairs? That's an interesting idea, isn't it? What do you think would happen? I think if this was a chair, it would absolutely collapse and crumple. Paper's brilliant for drawing, for writing. We can fold it very easily and it tears very easily. So you can use it for lots of things, but to support us and support our weight, it would just crumple into nothing, wouldn't it? So that's no good. So I thought, what if instead of using a sponge to wash something up, I could use some plastic. And that's no good either, is it? Because plastic doesn't absorb, it's just very hard. And if we put water on this, it would just completely run off. So that's no good. I couldn't scrub anything with this. It wouldn't absorb water and it wouldn't get anything clean. So I thought it'd be quite funny to make some movement up showing what would happen if we use the wrong materials for certain objects. So come back into the space with me. I thought, how would you move if your clothes were made of tin foil? Apart from looking like a sort of space astronaut, something like that, it would probably be quite difficult to move, wouldn't it? So have a go in the space. I think you'd move quite stiffly, it would feel quite crunchy. I think it would rip easily like it did when I wore my silver arm tinfoil thing. So try that. How would you move? I think it would be a bit crunchy and a bit difficult, wouldn't it? I think we'd look like this, quite slowly as well, because we couldn't really get anywhere. What do you think would happen if you sat on a chair made of paper? Can I show you what I think would happen? Make sure there's nothing behind you, you're not going to hurt yourself. If I had my paper chair there, I think this would happen. And I'd fall right down onto the floor because it would just collapse, wouldn't it? It just wouldn't be strong enough at all. So I've got my crunchy clothes, I've got my collapsing paper chair. This is not going well. What would happen if I used a plastic, a piece of plastic to wash up, like we were talking about, instead of a sponge? And I imagined a wall of plastic here, and I was water trying to get through it, but I couldn't get through it. Do you know what would happen? If I was water, I'd run up to it and I'd run straight down it. If I was a sponge, I'd absorb the water, but it's that very hard plastic which keeps water out. So I'd run up to it and I'd run straight down it. So looking at my movement, I've got crunchy tinfoil clothes, not very comfortable. I have my collapsing paper chair, and I have my waterproof wall of plastic, which I just run off if I was water. So I thought it'd be quite nice to make that into a little dance. And we can get that in our heads and get the feel for how these materials are. And you guys are brilliant at knowing what transitions are. We've talked about this a lot. Transitions, I wish you could tell me, I bet you're yelling it out now, but I'll remind you anyway. Transitions are little movements, little shapes, little actions in between each of our shapes and movements that we've made. So we're linking one to the other. So I've decided my starting point was my tinfoil clothes. So I've done my tinfoil clothes move, crunchy, crunchy, crunchy. I'm then going to do a jump to the side. Okay, I'm then going to do my chair, collapsing chair, and up. I'm going to do another transition, which is a low turn to the side. I run up and I run down off my wall. So I've got my three main materials, and my transitions are from my tin foil. I'm going to do a little jump. I'm going to do another transition, which is a low turn to my plastic wall. But your transitions can be anything. They can be jumps, they can be leaps, they can be a slide, they can be a roll. And when we can go into a bigger space, we can do lots of that, travelling across the space, and that's brilliant. But for now, our movements are a little bit more restricted, but that's fine. We can still dance and still move around. So that's going to be my phrase. So if you want, you can pause me, you can come up with your own movements, or you can practice with me if you like, and then we can try that with music. Okay, so let's go from the beginning. So tin foil, I'm going to do my transition, I'm going to do my falling back onto my paper chair, I'm going to do my low turn, I'm going to do my running up and down. And my water is not going to get through that plastic. Good, once more, and then try with music. So my tinfoil movements. Good. Okay, I'm going to do a little jump to my chair. I do a low turn. I do a run up and then down. Good. All right, let's try that with some music and bring it all to life. So, tinfoil clothes. How did you get on? Now if you want to, you can pause this, go away, think of your own materials that you'd like to use. So you can use any materials we've looked at. You can use wood, you can use paper, you can use plastic, you can use metal, all the materials that we've been talking about over the last few weeks. And you can make up your own dance. You can make up new ones, you can make up your own transitions. We've got lots of material, as in dance material now, to work with. Or if you like, you can keep winding me back and you can keep practicing that dance phrase that we've just done. Good. So for now, I think you've done an amazing lesson. I wish I could see your dances. I bet you've done a brilliant job. We're just going to do a nice little cool down, just to sort of get our breath back, have a think about everything that we've done, and go from there. Okay, here we go. So we're going to start very small. And we're going to inflate like a balloon. And balloons are made of rubber, and so it's very stretchy rubber, isn't it? So it can go all kinds of crazy shapes. You can go very, very big and very, very small. So we're going to go really, really small to big. Here we go. Big folder there. Someone comes along with a pin and pops us. And we go small again. Here we go again. Someone comes along with a pin and pops us. Here we go, last time. Grow really big, like a wall, like a big ball. Someone comes along and pops us. Good. Okay, from here, can you sit on your heels and put your hand to the side and just stretch over? Good. Imagine that someone's gently pulling your hand here. So you get a lovely stretch down the side. Good. And then reach over really high. We're drawing a rainbow. You might have one of those in your window at the moment. I've got one in mine, just to say hello to everyone in the outside world, which is a very nice thing to do. Good. And let's stretch up and let's look up. Well done. Okay, can you bring the arms down? Can you bring your arm across? Very gently just pull on that arm, and you can feel a stretch here because we've been doing lots of work with our arms today. Lovely. Keep breathing in and out. Very slowly. Good. Lovely. Okay. Can you put your weight in your hands and tuck your toes under, and can you roll back on your heels, on your hands, on your heels, on your hands. Good. Go back on your heels, and we're going to do a very slow roll up. All the way up, just like in our warm up, but really slow this time. All the way up to the top. Good. And give a slow motion shake. Using your head, your shoulders, your chest, your tummy, your back, your arms, your legs, everything. Coming to a stop. And giving yourself a clap. Well done. I bet you did a brilliant lesson today. I bet you made up some really, really exciting movements. Join me next week when we're doing week 4 of materials. We're going to be looking at even more materials that we haven't looked at in the last few weeks, and we'll carry on dancing. Thank you so much, and see you soon.